Companies just fired 4,000 workers and blamed a machine. Not a recession, not a trade war, not even bad management. A machine. Block, the payments company behind Square and Cash App, slashed 40% of its workforce, then quietly rehired some of them, calling the firings, and I am quoting here, clerical errors. Let that sink in for a moment. Coming up, $180 billion in student debt just got handed to the Treasury Department, drones are raining down on Dubai, and someone is investigating the most powerful banker in America. Stay with me. If this channel helps you make sense of a world that makes less sense every day, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and if you want to go the extra mile, consider super thanks. It genuinely helps keep this research going. Now, back to the layoffs. Block is not alone. Crypto.com cut 12% of its staff for the same reason. And here is the part nobody is talking about. The vast majority of these companies are not actually replacing workers with artificial intelligence. They are using AI as a convenient excuse to correct pandemic-era overhiring. During the lockdowns, tech firms went on a hiring binge, bringing in thousands of people they did not need, inflating their headcounts to justify valuations. Now the bill has come due, and AI is the perfect scapegoat. The only company where AI genuinely appears to be displacing human roles at scale is Meta. For the rest, it is theater. One analyst put it perfectly: AI is a push, not a pull, meaning the technology is being pushed onto workers, not pulling jobs away from them. But here is what truly worries me. This generation of graduates is being called the lost generation. Not because they lack talent, because the jobs they were promised simply do not exist anymore. And the phrase you will hear everywhere this year is chilling: your job will not be taken by artificial intelligence, but by someone who uses artificial intelligence. And now this is where it gets really interesting. While workers are being told machines will replace them, the machine makers themselves are making some truly staggering promises. Nvidia just held its annual conference and unveiled a new processor, a new AI system, and doubled its revenue forecast to $1 trillion within the next couple of years. Amazon Web Services, their cloud division, is projected to hit $600 billion. Listen, those are not typos. 1 trillion, 600 billion. And the question nobody in Silicon Valley dares ask out loud is simple. Where is the actual return on investment? Who is making money from AI besides the companies selling the shovels? Because right now, this looks like a bubble. The hardware is real, the software is real, but the business model remains a giant question mark. Now let me take you somewhere you probably did not expect. The United States Department of Education is being dismantled, not reformed, not restructured. Dismantled. $180 billion in student loan portfolios has been transferred from the Education Department to the Treasury. That is not a clerical adjustment. That is a political statement. The woman overseeing this, the head of the department, called it, and again I am quoting, a historic step to dismantle the federal education bureaucracy. 9.2 million Americans are currently in default on their student loans. Another 12 million are behind on payments. Less than half of all borrowers are actually paying anything. Let me put that differently. Roughly 1 in 4 people who took out federal student loans is in default. The total portfolio is $1.7 trillion. And now it sits with the Treasury, an agency built to collect money, not to help people manage debt. Critics are already warning about collection errors on a massive scale. But wait, it actually gets worse. Nobody has explained what happens next. Do repayment terms change? Do forgiveness programs survive? Does the Treasury start garnishing wages? Silence. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Dubai is under attack. Iranian drones struck a residential tower, airports, and data centers in the United Arab Emirates. Emaar, the real estate giant that built the Burj Khalifa, saw its stock crash 17% in a single session. Major banks dropped 27 to 30%. The UAE claims 95% of incoming drones were intercepted, but the 5% that got through did catastrophic damage to investor confidence. Honestly, this is a turning point. Dubai built its entire brand on being the safe haven of the Middle East. That illusion just shattered. And here is the kicker. Nigeria's Dangote refinery is seeing a surge in demand as energy markets scramble. When drones hit Dubai and Nigerian refineries benefit, the old world order is being rewritten in real time. Quick pause. If you are finding value in this breakdown, a like goes a long way. It tells the algorithm this content matters, and it helps other people find these stories. Now let us continue. From the Gulf, let me take you to Russia, where a story perfectly captures the dysfunction of the aggressor state's wartime economy. An entrepreneur was just sentenced to 5 years in prison for failing to deliver army equipment, specifically portable devices worth 53.7 million rubles. Not for stealing the money, not for fraud in the traditional sense, for failing to deliver. In a country waging the largest ground conflict in Europe since the Second World War, the military supply chain is so broken that it relies on private entrepreneurs who cannot fulfill basic orders. And when they fail, instead of fixing the system, the state throws them in prison. That is not a war economy. That is a failing state pretending to have one. Now, something quieter but potentially more explosive. Slovenia has formally asked the European Union to investigate an Israeli private intelligence firm called Black Cube, staffed by former Mossad operatives. The accusation is election interference, directly meddling in a sovereign European nation's democratic process. Let me explain why this matters for all of us. If a foreign intelligence operation can manipulate elections in a European country, the implications stretch far beyond Slovenia. This is about the architecture of democracy itself, and the fact that a small European nation had the courage to publicly name a firm linked to one of the world's most powerful intelligence agencies, that is remarkable. Before I get to the final story, one more item that tells you everything about the political moment we are living through. A commemorative gold coin bearing the current president's likeness has been approved for the 250th anniversary of the United States. Every single member of the commission that approved it was appointed by the president himself. Now look, commemorative coins are nothing new, but a sitting president putting his face on gold coins, approved by his own appointees during the country's founding anniversary, that is not commemoration. That is something else entirely. And that brings us to the story that might matter most in the long run. The Department of Justice, with White House support, has opened an investigation into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. The stated reason is a $2.5 billion renovation of the Fed's headquarters. The real reason, and everyone in Washington knows this, is to pressure Powell into cutting interest rates. The president has made no secret of his frustration with the Fed chair. He wants lower rates, looser money, a booming stock market. And if Powell will not comply, the investigation is the lever. The name being floated as a replacement is a former Fed governor far more sympathetic to political pressure. Think about what that means. The central bank, the institution that controls the money supply of the world's largest economy, is being squeezed. If the Fed loses its independence, interest rate decisions stop being about economic data and start being about political convenience. And when that happens, who do you trust with your money? Where does the dollar go? What happens to your savings, your mortgage, your retirement? Those are not hypothetical questions anymore. Every story I cover here takes hours of research and fact-checking. If this kind of journalism matters to you, hit that like button and subscribe. It costs nothing, but it tells the algorithm to show this to more people who need to see it. And if you want to support this work directly, Super Thanks lets you do exactly that. Every contribution goes back into making these episodes better. Drop a comment below. Tell me which story hit you hardest today or what you think about the Fed investigation. I read every single comment. Thank you for being here, truly. I will see you in the next one.